Hello, and welcome to the last segment for building a REST API with Go, Gorm, and PostgreSQL. In this video, we'll add one more endpoint to give the users the ability to search for users, and then after that, we'll go ahead and make the backend service configurable because not everyone who will be deploying it will necessarily be proficient with Go. And then once we make our different aspects of our application configurable, such as the SQL connection string, the JWT secret. Then we'll proceed to make a Dockerfile and then launch the application on Docker. Now, the reason why we'll be going with Docker is because Docker solved an age-old problem of, all right, the service is running on my computer, it's not running on yours. Docker removes that issue and lets you recreate environments on other machines, right? And then the Docker image we're aiming to build will be lightweight, easy to deploy, since after all, we are building a binary from our Go service, so we don't need to add the entire tool chain with our Docker image, making it smaller and decreasing the time it takes to spin it up. And you can also use Docker images in other cloud or cloud infrastructure or service providers. You can also deploy it to Kubernetes, and it's really something useful to have. So let's go ahead and start and add a new endpoint to um, our service, right? And we'll go back to our Gemini chat, write a Go REST API. So I'll ask it to add a new endpoint that enables users um, to search for other users, right? This endpoint should have pagination and it should search by email or name, right? Case insensitive too. So let's just add that within brackets so it knows. And then ensure the content type of the response returned is set to application JSON. And another thing too we'll be doing in this video is generating a Swagger document, which which you can ultimately give to the people designing your front end code. For these series, once this video is done, I'll go ahead and do another one where we start developing a UI for this social media backend service, right? So ensure the content type of the response return is set to application JSON, and then add a data use a data transition object to use a DTO to also return a field for each user indicating if the user who initiated the request is following said user, and don't return information about the user performing the query. Right, so we'll go ahead and let Gemini do that. And then another thing too we'll add to our newsfeed handler, which we didn't do in the last time, was that the post generated by the user themselves wouldn't show up on the newsfeed, and we're going to solve that by. So we'll remove this code entirely because there'll never be a case where subscriber ID is 0. And then we'll just go after we do the query, we'll go ahead and update the array and append, you know, our own user ID, which is our subscriber ID right here, right? Include on post. So that's out of the way. Let's go back and see the code that Gemini has generated. And so now we have a search object. Oh wait, okay. We already have these fields here. I don't know why it's repeating it to us, but whatever. All right, so here's our actual handler, which will be search user handler. All right. Okay. Mm. I wonder where it's using this helper function at all. At all we're using it. So let's just go ahead and copy the whole thing, and we'll go ahead and add it into our handles. So touch handlers search. Oh wait, I made a mistake with the spelling. So we'll move that again to search. All right. So I wonder where this is being used. So first, let me search for that. All right. Hmm. All right. So what else is going on here? Hmm. And max page size doesn't exist for some reason. All right, so let's see if the newsfeed has this max page size. It does have it, so oddly enough, I don't know why it's not finding it. It's not finding it. Oh, it's a constant, so it's going to return an error for sure. So let's go ahead and just move this out of here. Var, and then like that, we should solve the problem. All right, so now we're able to actually set. And then again, our database package doesn't exist, so we'll go ahead and add it. Correct. So let's first start with the data structure we'll be using. And again, as I prompted Gemini to do it, it'll return name, email, and then the is following flag, so that when we're building our UI, we'll know which the correct action to display alongside each user in the search results. All right. We don't need this. Definitely remove that comment. And here, as the handler starts, we're reading a query parameter called Q, and this text value will be compared against the users on the table's email and name. And next, we'll get the page and the limit of our query, and that again is used to calculate the offset that we'll be using to do the query. All right. Here we prep the query string for Postgres, and then we search. The users table for any matches for name or email. Right. And if we find 0 users based on this query, we'll just return an empty response, an empty array. Right. Next, if we do have some users that we found matching our text query, then we'll read our subscriptions table to see which users from the results that we're already following. Right. And based on those results, we'll generate a map that will be then compared with the user results to populate the is following field of the returned user data. Right. So here's where we're doing that transformation, where we're querying through the found users from the first query that we did, and then we're generating the actual result of our query, which will include an ID, which will be used to call the subscribe endpoint, and name and email, which will be displayed, maybe not email, and then an is following Boolean field, which will enable us to determine which button do we show to the user on the front end, right? So here we encode the results and return the data. It looks fine to me. Next, we need to actually map the endpoint to our main .go file. So I believe so we have search /users. It's not a bad endpoint to have. Go ahead and add that into our main Docker. All right, so now we can literally search users and determine if we're following them or not. Right. Let's go ahead and give it a spin and test it out actually and see what happens. So we'll run main.go. So our service is up, and then we'll search users, and we need to provide a queue parameter, which will be used to get the results. I don't have Postman open, so let's go ahead and open that. Also close VLC. It's confusing. So Postman is open. All right, so now let's go ahead and do a query to see if we have our token. Our token is set. So we'll do search users, and then in our query we'll just leave it empty. We'll make it an empty string, and then we'll do a search for users. I think my token expired since last night, so let's go ahead and request a new token. I believe it was login, and then do a post request. In our body, we'll have email. I think this email I used yesterday, and then our password, which is a secret. All right, so this is our request. We should get a token, so we have our token right here. So let's go ahead and reword this. This is getting annoying. All right, perfect. All right, so we have our token in place, and let's go ahead and do the request. All right, so it says parameter q is required. We'll go ahead and actually change that. Maybe we shouldn't. Oh, no, we will. We'll change that. So let's go back to search.go. And I want to see what happens if we don't set the query. What will the service actually do? If it breaks it, we'll revert the change and set it back. Okay. Let's go ahead and restart. All right. So back to Postman. Let's do another search. All right, perfect. So even if we set the queue parameter to empty, it'll still. So let's try something that doesn't exist. Triple Z's. All right, 0 results were returned. And let's try chic. All right, and then see we want to get all the at gmail.com. All right, perfect. So our search is working correctly. Next, we're gonna want to start making different aspects of the application configurable. Right. So, for example, JWT, it's already reading from the OS environment, but usually we'd want to see the code reading all this data, all the data from the environment in the main.go file. Right. So for the next one, the database, we'll definitely be setting that from main.go. So let's go back to Gemini and let's ask it to make the connect function configurable by accepting parameters to define the Postgres SQL connection and then read these variables from the environment in the main.go file, right? And then also add a sample.env file with the applications.env, including the JWT secret key config. And if you notice, we didn't really config the secret key when we were launching this instance, so I'm wondering which value is it actually using. Let's go ahead and close some tabs. And then once this is done, the next thing we'll do is generate a Swagger doc for the API. And then once we have that, we'll proceed with writing a Dockerfile that can ultimately be used to build our Docker image. All right, so, all right, it's not doing, oh, okay, perfect. This is actually what I had in mind. It's literally accepting a data connection string as a parameter, right? I think I can go ahead and copy this entire thing. No issue. So we'll do that. Database. Okay. All right. So now it's accepting a DSN string to perform the connection. All right. And then within our main.go file, here we're reading db host, port, user, password, and name from the environment, right? And here's the code for go.env. We'll keep that in there since we'll be using a .env file, and then it could read this information directly. All right, let's see. Perfect. So we just need to copy up to here. And then this database connection string, connection function, doesn't return a variable. It basically sets a package level variable with the connection object set there. And then see if you notice here, so we're reading the different parameters. We're checking if all of them are set. And then we're generating the connection string that we use in the last, in previous instances. I don't think we need this time zone thing for now, so we'll remove that. It's pretty excessive. All right, so we have our DSN. Now we're missing a package. We're missing the go.env package, so we'll definitely run go mod tidy, and then we should download the package. The package is in. Now let's see the .env file that Gemini has generated. All right, so here's our .env. So we'll go ahead and just add that in all of our env settings. Perfect. All right, so we'll go ahead and run again. Oh, now we have an error. Oh, because of the port that's set. So let's change this to 535. And then there's another issue too. Somehow it hallucinated a different database name. So let's go ahead and see what the old one was. Go rest. Okay. And it definitely wasn't user and password for our. A lot of problems here. So admin and secret were our actual credentials. Admin, secret. All right, so let's run again. Perfect. So we've connected. Migrations are done successfully. And then now, since our JWT secret key has changed, if I try to do a search request again, I'll have an invalid token as a response. Oh, I'm still getting the right response. I don't think it read the secret key. Let's see if it checked. See if it yeah, it's the same one. Pretty odd. Pretty odd. But wait, maybe I have. Let's do this. Export JWT secret key foo bar. I just changed it. Normally this request should actually fail. It shouldn't. Yes. So it's actually failing now. Yes, it's actually failing now. So all right, so if we change the token will the key. If we change the key, the token will no longer work. So here we have a new token. Let's go ahead and copy that. All right. And if we add the new token, it should work. Perfect. All right. So now it's working. Next, we'll start adding our Dockerfile to the mix. So we'll close this again, and we'll do what's going on. So we'll do touch Docker, and then I'll go back to Gemini. So now we have our application configurable. So anyone who doesn't have experience with the language in particular, they just need to update these values to change the database we're connecting to, or to update the JWT secret. So besides from that, other aspects of the application shouldn't be really configurable. Okay. Then so we'll say write a Docker file that's a two-stage build that ultimately deploys the application with a super slim Alpine image. Oh, shoot. And there's one more configuration though I need to add. Definitely need to add, which is the port number. Right? But that's debatable if we should have that configurable. So what we'll do is we'll do this. We'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and we'll do this. Make the port configurable. So we'll need to add one more. We'll need to add one more configuration field for and this prompt that I didn't do yet. I'll paste it here, and then when I'm ready, I'll come back and use it to write the Dockerfile. So it looks like now we're having some kind of network issues. Let's see what's going on with this. It's working fine here. Let's refresh. Oh, okay. 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 So what did it update? Towards the end, that's where it's gonna update the port. But it's never defining the port. All right, we're actually defining the port here. So we'll do. We'll go ahead and add this after we connect. So our app port is like that. And so if no port is set, it'll use a default port of 7070 on it, right? And then update our server start code, basically. All right, perfect. And here we're using the formatted printer to display. And let's go ahead and try this out. We'll run it. All right, so port 7070, and then let's go to .env and set app port to 7090. And let's run it. All right, so you see it's listening on 7090. So this is the benefit of using the app port. Let's comment that out and revert back to 77. All right, so let me go back now and actually write my Dockerfile that will be used to build the Docker image of this service. It's very slow today. Let's go back. See what we're doing here. So we'll close this up while that's loading. So let's clean up the environment a bit. Don't save. All right, it failed the query. One of the most unglamorous things about it. Why is the internet so slow? Oh man, let's go ahead and refresh the page. All right, looks like it should be working fine now. Come on, Gemini. Oh man. What? This is crazy. Oh my god. Oh. Let's give it a bit, some more time. You know what? I'm not even gonna stress this. Let's do this. Let's go to Chat GPT, and then we'll do this. Write a Dockerfile that ultimately deploys. The language used is Go. All right, but here it's using a really old image. This is just weird. Nah, this is not what I want. Not what I want. Let's try Gemini again. All right, now it's actually working. Guess you could, or it's not working. All right, perfect, perfect. But one thing is, all right. So use Golang for use Golang based image for the first build. Use a recent image. So let's see which version of Go we're on. Go version. Go version. So 1.246. 1.246. And a base Alpine image for the second stage. I wanted to use two stages. So in the second stage, I don't want it to have any of the Go toolchain or tools used to, you know. All right. So it is doing that. It's actually doing two-stage build. So let's go ahead and copy over this Dockerfile. We will make some more changes to it because it's clearly a lot of bugs that I see. And then let's go ahead and paste that. So Alpine 3.20. All right. All right. All right. Here we're building out the binary as REST API example. So now I want to get a more recent image, and I know this image will not work. So let's go ahead and just look for this image on Docker. Let's do 1.24. If we get any hits, that means that the image actually exists. Oh, all right, perfect. So 1.246 does exist as an image. And we want to use the latest images so that we mitigate any security issues that may be caused by the tool chain. All right, so let's go back to, all right, how can I build and launch the image locally? Right, and if you also notice, this Docker build image is also copying a .env file, but you can still configure the environment after you build the image, and I'll show you how to do that in a bit. So first, let's see the command that we'll be using to build our image. All right, and also in the meantime, I'll ask it to generate a Docker run command that sets port to 78, 79. All right, so let's go ahead and launch this image build. Oh, I got to run it on sudo. I didn't. Alright. So now it's downloading the image that we need to. Downloading the image that we'll be needing to build our application. And since it's an Alpine image, it's quite light. I think the biggest chunk of it is 79 megabytes of it. So it'll be done in no time. Let's see what else we got. All right, and let's go look at our custom command that will let us. No, I don't want it to map. Set the container .env variable after 79, right? And make it and bind it to port 79 too. All right, so here we're setting .env, but one thing is that oh my god. Um, hmm. All right, there may be a problem with using the .env because right here we're hard coding expose 8080, which only makes that port accessible. So we'll do this. We'll say have the command set a custom JWT secret instead of app port. And this is to demonstrate how the application can be configured once you've already built and deployed a binary. So as an engineer, you're not constantly rebuilding images with new settings that your end users may need. All right, so here it's actually mapping it to port 8080. We'll copy this command over and we'll make some changes to it right before. All right, so it's already built the image pretty quick. Wow. And I also want to show you guys the size of this image. Command show size of image. And in this command, in the previous command that we ran, we're setting the tag to REST API example, and that will be the image tag name we'll use to actually rerun the image locally. So let's see the image size, basically. Sudo perfect. So it's about 27 megabytes with our application. With our binary, probably using 11 megabytes of it, which isn't too bad. With the correct network, you can upload this in like 2 minutes, 1 minute max. All right, and let's go ahead now and run our image. I believe I made a copy of the command. All right, so here we have it. We'll update it to map to port 7070. I'll have it up. Oh, wait. It was using insert instead of. All right, so we're mapping it to external port 7070 from internal port 8080. Right, and then our secret key. This is our different secret key that we're using, and then this is how it'll show that we're updating the configuration of the API server without rebuilding a binary. So let's go ahead and run this image. Hmm. Oh, and it's unable to reach our Postgres service because it's running in our local machine and not within the actual Docker cluster. So to solve this, what we can do now is we'll go ahead and update the network mode of the container to local. I think it's local or bridge, something like that. But I basically want the container to run on the same network as my machine. All right. So I think we have to add this flag to the command to get it to work. All right. Let's clear out. Run. Oh, I have to actually. Perfect. So we're actually running the service at port 7070. Right. And let's go ahead and try to access it from, the postman. So here we'll have invalid token because our secret keys are completely different. So let's log in again. We'll go ahead and do another login and see. All right, perfect. Now our request is working. But let's say, a security breach happened and the secret key has been compromised. So we'll update this to your second super secret key. And by doing this, all the tokens that are currently issued will be invalid. Right? And let's go ahead and try to do another search. We'll get invalid token until we request a new token with the matching security set. And as you've seen, we've basically updated the configuration of the application without having to rebuild the image or the actual Go binary itself. Right? So it's pretty useful in case credentials change, database credentials change, or your team uses multiple environments. You would build one environment, one program that would go through the different environments with different configuration values. So in development, staging, and then actual production environment. All right. So lastly, what we'll do is to make this handoff really complete is we'll ask it to generate a README for environment variables. So generate a README a front end developer can use. No, it just a system operator. Sysop can use to configure environment for the REST API. Okay. So even though this is kind of AI slop, here we'll have a list of the different environment variables that they need to set to configure the application, which is ideally what's needed to. All right, so let's copy the contents of it, and we'll make a new README. So we can go ahead and close this. All right, and then we'll make a README. And we'll add the contents of our markdown. Huh. Something's wrong here. Oh yeah, this is not good. This is off. Why you do me like this, Gemini? Oh man. I believe ChatGPT would be better for this. Yeah, this isn't the right code that I want. It's not giving me. Um, let's see if I can. Nope, I can't even. Yeah, this smart Gemini, please fix this issue. All right, this is not gonna. Let's go back to OpenAI. Let's crawl back to them. And then here, the context, we don't need to feed much context to the LLM. We just need to take this. Why is this at there? We'll do this. We'll say generate a README based on the following .env, a system operator can use to configure the REST API example service. Okay. This is too much. Just give me a list. Just give a brief paragraph and a list of .env variables, a description of what it does. Right, and if you notice earlier, by copying that .env, we automatically set defaults that the system will use. Okay. So here we have a little um, just we'll copy this and clean it up a bit, trim it out. And what is it doing? Oh my god. Yeah, LLMs for configuration is just a horrific idea. You know what I mean? All right. We have a little README file going on. I don't know why it's adding these forward slashes into the names, but whatever. I guess that's how you write Markdown correctly. All right, so we have our command. It worked. Lastly, let's go ahead and generate a Swagger doc for our API, and then I'll walk you through why having a Swagger doc is super useful and how we can access that Swagger doc. So let's go back to Gemini. All right, generate a Swagger spec for the API. And since it defined all of the endpoints, wait, let's do it. Let's do it again. But this time we also give it an updated path list, just to nudge the LLM in the right direction. All right, now let's go. Let's see how it generates the Swagger spec for this. I believe I didn't change any of the input or output, so Hmm. Even the port is just wrong. The port is wrong. But let's go ahead and copy it, and hopefully it shouldn't be any much trouble. I think it's swagger.yaml. Uh, it's a YAML file. Yet another markup language. All right. All right. So security is something called bureau auth, which is pretty weird. All right. Hmm. All right. And then we'll also do one more thing. We're going to launch and Grok because that's what we can use to basically access our service. Right. So we'll add a new tab. Which wait a minute. Where's my tab that I was running Postgres? Let's do this. Sudo docker ps. Okay. All right, so we have Docker actually still running in the background from our the last time we had the system up. So I need to figure out how to close that. Not now, actually, of course. So we'll first start by running the service. So let's go ahead and launch again. We'll launch it from Docker. Sure. So, so we launch from Docker. Our server is listening on port 7070, which is incorrect because maybe let's see if we do. Are we able to do anything with this? All right, yeah, our token is just invalid. All right, let's try again and log in. It's actually working. And let's go ahead and start setting up ngrok. Right, and ngrok will give us an HTTPS, like a temporary URL that we can use to access our service over HTTPS because the Swagger inspector only works with HTTPS, I believe. The online instance of it, of course. All right, so Linux, we have this pretty straight up setup. Let's go ahead and just copy these commands over. Okay. Hmm. Looks like their setup doesn't work. Maybe Grok might work without all that. Let's see if we find it on the package manager. All right, it's found. We found Grok. Pretty cool. So we didn't need to do those previous steps. Perfect. So we just installed ngrok, and now let's configure it. All right, so we've saved our configuration file, and then how do we deploy it? So ngrok HTTP. So we're listening at port 7070, right? So I think it's like that, and then we can set it to also HTTPS or things of that nature. And then here we have our URL that will give us access to our API from anywhere in the world. Actually, oh my god, I just made a mistake. Control Shift. Should we use Control Shift C? All right, so now we have our URL, and then what we'll do next is we'll go ahead and give it a test run and see what happens. So replace it with this. All right, and let's send our request. All right, so now we're getting a different IP because we just signed in. We just accessed it through an external URL. So an external IP is actually coming in. Right? And does the service give us any information about that? Not really, but let's go ahead now and log in again because our session is no longer valid. Use the IP address changes. All right. still getting, oh, because I use my local, uh, I accessed it locally. All right, let's do it again. Whole different. And even if I take this to the JWT inspector, um, all right, let's put this in. We notice our IP is different, much longer, and an actual external IP domain, right? Or subnet mask. All right, let's replace that with our new token, and our results should now be working, right? But let's really look at what we came here for, which is the Swagger file. So let's go ahead. Let's blindly. Let me go ahead and just do the liberty of replacing this with of the actual of our service. So let's go ahead and copy this again. Okay. All right. So now we're using this URL, and let me copy the entire file. And this is thing online. So let us Swagger inspector, something like that, or Swagger editor. Was it Swagger editor? Oh yeah, it was Swagger editor. All right. And now when we're handing this off to a front end user, and we give them this Swagger document, it gives them an interactive way that they can interface with the API. So let's go ahead and log in from the Swagger interface. So I think I can try it out. Yeah. All right. So our actual credentials were Gmail. And let me also increase the zoom here so you can see better what's happening. And then secret. No apostrophe. All right. Execute. Where's our response? Um, no responses. Wait. Execute. No responses. It's not correct. I should be able to get a token here. And let's check in and grok. And let's go to traffic inspector. Huh. So there's no cores support, and that's why we're getting this error. So what we'll do is we'll need to update our main function again. So add cores support to main.go. And that's why the request is failing. So in Grok, we can actually inspect the requests that are coming. And the latest two requests that we did return 404, and that's throwing off the Swagger editor that we're using. So in this update, we will be adding some kind of cores middleware that will allow us to do requests from different domains. And what's being used for cores here? All right, so Gorilla has its own cores library that's happening. All right, and then it's very important that the right headers, like such as the authorization one, is enabled. Um, and yeah, let's go ahead and add this, I guess. But it might confuse the system. We'll see. So um, let's go ahead and add this package. App port handler. All right. All right. Now let's just add cores. I believe our service should be fine. All right. But now we just need to download the. All right. So cores is now in. Now we'll go ahead and rebuild our image. Since we've already downloaded the images previously, the rebuilding be instant and not take too much time. Here we're just downloading our dependencies. Now we're compiling it. Fraction of a second. All right, and once the compilation has completed, it will tag the image and prep it for deployment again. So let's go ahead and run our image again. I believe this was the last command I ran. Hopefully it is. Yep. Perfect. So our service is back up again. Let's see what ngrok is doing. So ngrok, it's online. Let's go back to Swagger and do another request. Execute. Still no response. So here we can see our traffic again. Let's see what's happening. Wait, this time it worked, but the data isn't showing up on Swagger. Odd enough. Let's do this. Why doesn't it want to show me the responses actually? Anywho, the responses aren't showing up, but oh wait, oh beautiful, oh beautiful, 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 beautiful. All right, so we have a response right here. It's actually working now. All right, so let's go ahead and copy this response. And the Swagger gives the other developers you hand over your project to an interactive way to interface with your API without manually typing each command individually, right? I believe it still hasn't realized that users and user ID are protected. So let's go ahead and we'll do this. We'll start first by searching getting the newsfeed, right? We'll do that first. Um, if I click here, if I set bearer, I set the token. Whoa. All right, wrong. Too much data. We just need the token. So let's go ahead and extract that token. All right, there's a additional quote that's there. All right, and try it out. Execute. And we have a different kind of response. Oh, and I believe there was a special header that we have to include with ngrok to bypass the service. So let's go ahead and add that header, specific header. Let's go ahead and add that. And then since we're testing Swagger doc through ngrok, add the special header to bypass special page. I believe if you pay, it won't ask you for that. And then sub. Oh yeah, it already knows the sub endpoints because I gave it the updated. For example, subs. Perfect. So let's go see our new Swagger file. And it's not doing the Swagger file. Oh wait, I'm an idiot. And I don't believe this is the header. That's not the header. And let's go back to our good friend Stack Overflow. All right, so it's this one actually. It's grok skip warning. Right. Update Swagger doc. indicate user fetch endpoints are protected and include with each request. And unfortunately, we will need to actually rebuild the service again. But we're not going to do that. We'll just run it locally. But here we need to include this skip warning header. Make it loud so that we can use it. Let's just run it locally again. It's no big deal. All right. Skip browser warning. That's the header. All right. And then let's see. Okay, so it included the skip browser warning for all of our endpoints, right? So it's in. I'll just go back and take this to the Swagger inspector. Hopefully it won't drop my tokens and all that. Yeah, it's still, wait a minute. Login and sign up are not required for authentication. Hmm. All right. So let's go back to getting the newsfeed. All right, so here it's setting, it shouldn't set ngrok bypass. That's not a needed header. So we'll have to fine tune this again. All right, and it's only skip warning, not the other one. Okay, perfect. So it's adding all of our skip. All right, much better, much better. All right, say 500-600 lines. So with AI that takes only a few seconds. It would have taken a day's work to get working. So here you can see our header. So set to any value, and let's go ahead and execute our request. So here we have a CORS error. Let's go back and see what's happening. We have a network error. Let's check traffic again. All right, so it actually did the request to the newsfeed. Which response did it send back to the user? No content. Huh. So our service didn't send any response back to the user. Um, I wonder why. All right. Let's see if we can get the list of our subs. And it's using the wrong subs. Oh my god. All right, which error kind of error did we get? Pretty odd. Let's see what we got here. We're getting network errors across. Where our last request was at 416, which isn't right now. So I'm assuming that we're not reaching the service at all, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and restart everything. Or maybe our token is no longer valid. It could definitely be a good reason why. So let's just restart. And if we do get an invalid authorization error, we'll know. So let's go ahead and Control C. I want to add this. Let's see what we have here. And the endpoints are completely off. I changed subscriptions to subs. which is not. Yeah, AI, it's usually hard to complete something. And I don't have it here, so I don't have any reference. Uh, all right, yeah. So here we're using sub, sub, and then sub again. And after that, we have sub 2, which is also there. All right, and these are the correct endpoints that we're using. Let's copy this back. All right, and then, okay, why do we have an error here? We have an error parsing the file. So if I just set it to sub, it doesn't work, which is weird. I set it to just sub. Oh, okay. There's a duplicate mapping key of that. So we'll fix this, and we'll do that by taking this get. It's pretty efficient for Swagger to work like this. And right under post, we have get. All right, now it should do its thing. Perfect. All right, so we need to log in again because everything has changed on the system. So let's go ahead and first of all, it's all right. Oh snap! So we weren't even reaching the right service because of the way we had it set up. All right, so let's go ahead and actually reach our service, and we'll set that here. All right, Swagger doc is looking fine. All right, perfect. So let's go ahead and log in again. Execute, and we have our response. Pretty cool. And then we'll set this response as our token that we sign in with. Let's go ahead and set that. And I want to do this for my newsfeed endpoint. Just click on this lock and then log out. Let's log in again, authorize, and let's execute our request for the newsfeed. Wait. So now, okay. I double specified here. Let's log out again. All right. Let's go ahead and execute. And we have results coming in from our development server. All right. And then let's also, if I wanted to see my subscriptions, so let's do get subscriptions. Definitely want pagination here. Sure. And we can have all of our subscriptions show up as a response. Right? So this would be the templated demo response. This is the actual response from our backend server. And if we go into the inspector, we can see the request that we just made right now for a list of subs with the actual data that's here. Is it this one? Yeah, I believe it's this one. So it's not tracking the response, I believe, or it is. And we can see the response that was sent back from our server. All right, thank you for watching. This concludes the first section of building a social media REST API service. So this concludes the first part of building the front end, of building the back end and handing it off. Next, we'll start working on the front end and make some visual elements that go along with our API. Thank you for watching.